Hello everyone and welcome to the Cincinnati Standard Open Sideboard. I'm Glenn Jones. I'm here with Andy Ferguson.
Hello.
Andy, you're playing Black-White Zombies, a deck that's playing a number of cards that are starting to gain some real ground, including Cartel Aristocrat and Orzhov Charm. And I know recently Sam Black actually put up a deck on MTG, the main site, in the daily deck list, and this deck actually you've been developing it independently of that one.
Yeah, I had no idea. I've actually heard about that deck a bunch today, and I had no idea.
It has some very similar themes for sure. Obviously, you're starting with the basic zombie setup. You've got Gravecrawlers, Direct Ghouls, and Dralf's Messengers, but you're going into white. So let's just talk about what we get from white, because it's a lot of cards.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Start with Cartel Aristocrat. What kind of a role is this Super Bear playing in this deck?
It's actually extremely good with a number of cards, mainly Messenger. Obviously the sacrificing, and they lose 2 life when it comes back in. And you combine that kind of thing with Blood Artists, so you're doing all these sacrificing things, and then they're losing more and more life, and it starts to add up a little bit. Also, if you combine it with Lingering Souls, you pretty much have a guy that has protection from whatever you want, whenever you want. So I found him pretty good. And I know a lot of people in that, or at least back when I was developing this, I got a lot of suggestions to do Bloodthrone Vampire there, which is better on the mana, but I think Aristocrat just with the protection works better because you can do a number of things. He becomes unblockable, or Azorius Charm doesn't work on him, things like that. So.
Yeah, it's impressive the amount of work that just a little bit of protection does.
Yeah, it's actually incredible. It's pretty good.
One of the big gains, obviously, in white is Restoration Angel, which is a card people have actually tried splashing into zombies before. Mana wasn't as good when we didn't have Godless Shrine.
Yeah, no, Godless Shrine is definitely helpful for that. Just Angel with Messenger is just absolutely ridiculous. So
I noticed that with the mana, you've also managed to fit in Guild Gates. So is the sacrifice of having the land come into play tapped hurting you frequently, or is it mostly not so bad?
I mean, obviously there are going to be those draws where you have the Guild Gate turn 1 or whatever, and you need the white, and it just doesn't work out. But I think overall, it generally you can fit it in a spot where you don't need to have that land that turn. So.
Okay, well, the 2 Gatecrash cards that are really sticking out in this deck, in addition to Cartel Aristocrat, are Obstinate Ghost Council, giving you big game at the top end, and Orzhov Charm, which is a card that's a personal favorite of mine. I'm very happy to see people playing it both here and at the Pro Tour.
I love Orzhov Charm, and especially in this deck. Like, actually, all 3 abilities are relevant, and just the unconditional kill is also extremely helpful. So
yeah, a Vendetta is obviously kind of reasonable, a little risky against some of these mono red decks, but definitely fine. Yeah. But the actual pseudo unearth effect, quite good when you have Gravecrawler around as a way to just function as more Direct Ghouls, basically.
And it's also great for even the second ability is great for saving one of your guys from a Wrath or something if you have to. So
sure, especially when you have guys like Messenger, Angel.
Very much so, yeah.
And considering how few cards can actually kill an Obsidat, I imagine
if you can
Orzhov
save him with
Charming
it, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. The Obsidat has 2 white mana in his mana cost. Has that actually been a little difficult to get to?
It can be. I don't know, when I've wanted to play him on turn 5 and I've had 5 mana, I don't think I've ever really, at least today, I haven't had any problem playing him. So it has worked out. With Cavern, you can obviously fix for it, and if you name Advisor, it hits both Aristocrat and Ghost Council, which is
good tip.
Helpful.
One of the lesser-known creature types, I'm sure.
So it's kind of funny that way. It's name Advisor, and people are like, what? I don't know. But
Cartel Aristocrat, working both sides of the creature type coin.
There you go.
All right, well, let's move on to your sideboard. I noticed you've come pretty prepared, I think, for the red element. You've got 4 Vampire Nighthawks and 3 Nearheath Pilgrims.
Yeah, I originally just had the Nighthawks, and, I mean, you still, like, against the Siders, red-green and everything, it's like, you can just get burned out even before turn 3, even you're almost dead. So I think with the Pilgrim, if you can get your 1-drop and then into turn 2 Pilgrim, you've got 4 power lifelink on the board, and if you start with your turn 1 1-drop and then go into Nearhouse Pilgrim, you've got 2 damage lifelink coming in on turn 2, which is pretty good against those aggressive decks.
I especially like how it converts Gravecrawler into an actual card in that matchup, whereas before it's kind of like, I guess I'm playing this guy.
Gravecrawler is miserable in that matchup for sure. So.
But with Nearheath Pilgrim, you can actually start clocking in some damage. Beyond that, you've got 4 Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. Just a quality spell, obviously.
It's so good against control.
Do you find yourself boarding out some of your spells, primarily, I guess, the Planeswalkers?
The Planeswalkers, yeah. Well, in control matchups, I actually don't like Lingering Souls that much, so generally that comes out. Plus, I mean, you're paying for it twice with Athalia, so it's not as good, I think. So.
Sure, that makes sense. And last but not least, we got a little rest in peace for the Graveyard Hate.
Just straight up for the Human Reanimator deck, pretty much. So.
Do you find that deck tough to beat? Or?
I think so, yeah, because I'm not as aggressive as a lot of the aggressive decks in the format, so you give them time to set that combo up, and you've only got 4 removal in the whole deck. So
you're definitely
good
trying to
have that
grind them
hedge in
out.
there. Yeah, for sure. So.
All right, so what are the decks you are looking to play against? Actively looking.
Mono red is believe it or not. I mean, game 1 it's a little iffy. Blood Artist obviously helps a lot, but obviously game 2 and 3 are just extremely good with the buckets of lifelink in the deck. Honestly. So.
All right, sweet. Are there any decks other than Human Reanimator that you've been a little scared of, or perhaps that are presenting bigger game than you hoped?
Decks with like, for instance, just like Naya midrange or something can be a bit of a problem. I mean, I've got the 2 appetites in there for those kind of decks, but when you've got big creatures in there that just kind of block all the little guys I have, and only 4 kill spells, it can be a little bit iffy. But it's not. It's definitely winnable. So.
All right, sweet. Well, Andy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let you go ahead and get back to the turn.
Sure. Thanks.